Okay, I'm gonna quickly show you how to create this advertisement. Um, so in this example I did Nike Air Jordans, but you could do whatever you want. And it doesn't have to be an advertisement. So by doing this, you'll pick up a few tricks and tips that you can use with Photoshop. Okay, so I'm gonna start from scratch. I'm gonna say File, New. We'll do print size, and let's do letter size 8.5 by 11. And gonna open my layers and create one new layer, and here we're gonna create the tiles. So to create a tile, I'll grab the rectangular marquee tool, which lets you make a selection. So on this new layer that I created, I'm gonna create a square selection holding shift with the rectangular marquee. Um, then I'm gonna fill this with um, sort of a dirty, little bit off-white color. Okay, I'll make this a little dark, and we'll use the um, paint bucket to fill that. Then I'm going to select and modify and expand my selection 20 pixels. Um, Actually, instead of doing it that way, I will select, modify, and contract. So that way I don't get those rounded corners. Okay, and inside, I'm gonna, with that same color selected, and maybe slightly lighter version of that, I'm going to go to filter, render, clouds. Okay, so that just takes my foreground and background color and creates some kind of cloudy texture. Um, then I'm going to convert this to a smart object because I'm going to be scaling it up and down, and I don't want it to lose um, pixel information. So then I'll take this and scale it down, and make some duplicates of it. And I'm holding the Alt button to copy these. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them to cover the bottom. So I'll take all of these and scale them down a little bit more. Now, depending on which Photoshop version you're using, you might have to hold Shift when you're scaling to constrain the proportions, but I'm using the new one, so I don't have to. But sometimes you forget when you should hold Shift and when you shouldn't. Okay, so I've got enough tile. Now, um, I'm gonna duplicate one of these, and I'll just call this tile 1. And I'm just gonna hide that, and take the rest of these and edit free transform. I'm gonna scale down first, holding Shift. Then I'm gonna grab the corner, hold Control, Shift, and Alt. So 3 buttons I'm holding down right now in order to scale this in from the sides. Okay, we'll scale it in about that much, I guess. And in order to keep my file size from growing too big, I'm gonna rasterize these. Actually, before I rasterize them, let me scale them up one more time. Holding just Alt this time so I scale from the center. And just make those big enough to cover that much. Okay. Then then I'll rasterize these so they're no longer smart objects and merge them. Actually, if you merge them, it'll automatically rasterize. Okay, then I'm gonna copy this above the original and edit free transform. Scale this down. Let me zoom in so I can see that better. Looks like I left a gap here. Let me go back a few steps before I merge these. I want to make sure there's no gap here, so I'll just nudge that to the left. Okay, so I've got my one tile that I'm just gonna, oops, not that one. So one tile I'm just gonna keep just in case I need it again. Hide that, and the rest I'm going to transform scale this up. Holding Alt button and holding Alt and Control and Shift around the corners. Bring them a little bit. Also hold Shift and push this to scale it down. So we just want to change the perspective of it. So looks like the lines are see. I think that's good. Then I'll merge all these. Okay. Okay. Now again, copy this up and edit free transform. I'm gonna scale it down till these lines match. Um, Also, we could have done an extra step and made these like tiles offset a little bit, but no big deal. I'll just keep it like this. Copy it up again, edit, free transform, scale it down again. Okay, and just to make this go faster, I'll merge these again. So this is all merged. Copy that up, edit, free transform, scale it down again. Okay, I think that's enough. All right. So we did the ground. Now let's do the shoes. So I got those shoes from Google. Well, I think from the Nike website. And I did both the left and the right shoe. But yeah, you could just do one if you want to save time. I just did both of them. So I'll do both again. I'll take this image, copy it, and paste it in here. And also this one, copy, paste. Okay. And I want them both facing the same direction. So take this one, say edit, transform, and flip horizontal. Okay, now we need to cut out the shoe from the background. So let's start with this one. I'm just gonna use the magic wand to select the background with let's set, see if I leave it on 20, the tolerance, it selects some of the shoes. So I'm gonna set this to 5, gonna lower the tolerance a little bit. Okay, and then after that, we need to go in with the lasso tool and make any corrections we need to. So like here, I'm gonna hold the shift button and add that to the selection. Hold Alt when you need to remove, hold Shift when you need to add. Since I'm selecting the background right now, I'm holding Shift to add these white parts. Okay. Now on a white background, you don't need to worry about this, but if you decide to put the shoe on a color other than white, you're gonna notice these white edges, which doesn't look good. Okay, so I'm shift selecting all that. Now this part's kind of straight, so I'm gonna try to use the polygonal lasso. We need to remove from here. So I'm gonna hold Alt and let's just go like this. Double click and hold Alt. Go here. Double click. Maybe we'll add a little bit here too. And what's that? Make sure that's included. Here too a little bit. Oops. Hold Alt. Okay, that's good. And then this part, I'm gonna hold Shift to add all this to the selection. Okay. And holding Shift, we need all this, and I'm holding spacebar so I could move while I'm looking. And we'll go all the way here. Double click. Hold Shift again. Add that to the selection. So I'm gonna take out the shadow because the shoe is gonna be in the air. It doesn't make sense to have a shadow under the shoe if it's in the air like that. Okay. So I'll just quickly check these edges. Looks like I need to fix this a little bit. Oops. Shift. I'll use the lasso here. Oops. I'll hold Shift. So it doesn't need to, you don't have to get every little thing because you could also use the Refine Mask tool or um, Select and Mask tool in Photoshop to smooth some of this, which I think I'll do right now. Actually, let's first select. Wait. Well, right now I've got just this white part selected. I'm gonna make sure the whole screen is selected and just the shoe is deselected. So I just shift click the background as well. Now I'm gonna create a layer mask. And let's reverse that. So I double clicked on the layer mask and went to invert. Also, when I double click, I go into this mode where I can see these edges. I can switch this to different backgrounds. Okay, on black, I'm able to see these white edges, which I can get rid of if I increase this radius a tiny bit, smooth it a little bit, and shift the edge inside. Okay, let's increase this radius to 1. That gets rid of those white fuzzy edges. Now let me move around with the space bar, make sure it looks good. Okay, it's one shoe, now we gotta do the other one. Same thing. Select the background. Oops. Make sure you're on the right layer. Select the background. Oh, yeah, and our tolerance is still at 5, so that's good. And then with the lasso, I'm gonna hold Shift and add all this to the selection. And all this. I think I'm gonna switch to the polygonal lasso again. Hold Shift. Double click. Okay, and go here, hold Shift, and go all the way here. From here too. And I'm gonna use the magic wand with a little bit higher tolerance. Set it to 20. and shift select like this. So it goes inside those ridges a little bit. Uh, okay, that's good. And then make sure that's included. I don't want to go too deep in the ridges, so I'm gonna use the rectangular marquee and hold the Alt button and subtract the top part of these ridges. I want to go too deep. Okay. And let's quickly check the rest of this. I could use that refine mask for a lot of this, but some parts um, I don't want to use too much of the refine mask on, so I'm gonna make sure these parts are looking good already, so I'll go in and manually do these things. Okay, hold shift for here. Alright. And we'll use the regular lasso for some of this stuff here. Oops, shift. Okay, I think that's good. Alright. Again, let's go to our layers. Okay, we need to select the background first, so let me grab the magic wand and shift select the background. And we can just inverse the selection here and then create the layer mask. But let me double click here and let's zoom in a little bit. Oops. How do we zoom in here? Press C. Okay. Or you can click on that, I guess. And we see those edges here again, so I'll do the same thing I did earlier. Smooth it a tiny bit. Increase the radius to 1 and contract or shift the edge in until I don't see any more white edges. Right, that's good. Alright, so got the shoes selected. Let me go to my layers. So the shoes I might be scaling up and down, so I'm gonna convert these to smart objects. Okay, so I think that's the right side, this is the left side. So yeah, the left side should be over that one, and it should be a little bit bigger, so I'll scale it up a tiny bit. Oops, I think I held shift accidentally when doing that. Might have messed up the proportions a tiny bit, so do it again. I'm just gonna scale that tiny bit because it's closer to you, so it should be a little bit bigger. And then let's rotate these. Make it look like whoever's wearing them is jumping. Right, and let's scale these both down a little to leave room for some writing. Okay. Let's add a shadow underneath the shoe. So for that, I'm gonna create a new layer, and with the elliptical marquee, let's make a circle. Fill this circle with a gradient, and my gradient's gonna be simple, basic black and white gradient, and it's gonna be radial gradient. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that out towards the edge from the center. Um, Actually, let me go back here. Make sure both colors are black. Okay, and one of them I'll lower the opacity to 0. Okay, and then do that again. Okay, so darker inside and then transparent towards the edges. Okay, then, oops, let's not go too close to the edge because we don't want any sharp edge. So just make sure when you're pulling this, you don't pass the circle. Looks like I did it again. Okay, that's good. And then edit, free transform, scale this, holding shift. I need 2 of these for each shoe. Let's bring one here and one here. Scale this one down a tiny bit. And on this one, we'll make the opacity 50%. On this one, we'll make it like 30% since it's higher up. Okay. Now all that's left is a nice background. Oh, and that thing. So for the background, I'm just gonna go to my background layer and I'm gonna grab the gradient tool and let's choose a basic black and white gradient. And with this mode set to difference, just gonna make, oops, actually, let me also make sure that's not a radial gradient. I want to go back to regular linear gradient. Okay. And with this set to difference, I'm just gonna start randomly dragging this everywhere to create some texture here. Okay. Then I'm gonna double click this background layer to unlock it and I'm gonna put a color overlay. See how that looks with, say, this color. Right now it's on linear light, probably would be closer to this color if I set it to lighten or screen. Um, let's not worry about the color just yet. First, let me do an image, adjustments, and let's do threshold. And with this, I'll just get some random lines here. Okay. Then I'll double click on that and add our color. So we'll just try different blending modes, see which one looks good. So I think I'm gonna go, I could go with the white, or I could go with the black if I do a soft light or a hard light. Let's see. How do we get blue and black? Okay, this one, darker color. Um, since I did the other one light, I'll do this one. I mean, I did the other one dark, I'll do this one light. Yeah. Okay, and yeah, we're pretty much done. We just need to write Air Jordan here. Oh, and yeah, if you feel like it, you can also do this stuff here. I'll show you how to do that real quick. All right, so for that, we're going to need to, let's make sure this type layer is above everything. Layer 3, this is a shadow, so I'll call it shadow. There's another shadow. Okay, so these are the two shoes. Um, say left shoe, right shoe, and oh, these are the tiles. I could just merge these together. Tiles. And okay, so to get that weird effect, I duplicate these by pressing Ctrl J with those two layers selected. Okay, these two are smart objects. The two new ones I will rasterize so I can liquefy them. So now I'm gonna go liquefy with filter, liquefy. Okay, and we'll just pull from the back and just do something like that. Okay, and the other one too, filter, where is it at? Filter liquefy. Okay. Alright, after liquefying it, and it's already kind of cool, but we can make it better if we add layer masks next to these liquefied versions. And I'm gonna hide whatever I just did by filling the layer mask with black, both of them. Oops. Okay, so both layer masks are black, so both of these are hidden right now. And I'm gonna grab my paintbrush, and so for the other one I used this triangle, but let's try a different one. So instead of the triangle, what if I use this Saturn? I don't know. Might work, might not work. Or let's do this one. This looks cool. I'll do this. I'll use this brush, make it a little bit bigger, and go to my layer mask and paint white to reveal that melted stuff I did. Okay, that's this one. Okay. And maybe a little bit thicker, closer to the shoe. Do the same with the other one. And also on the original shoes, the ones that are still smart objects, I'm also going to create layer masks. I'll do the opposite here. I'll paint black a little bit. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to get rid of some of the shoe. Go back to this one now. This is like erasing some of the shoe. It looks like there's holes in it. Um, yeah, so you can get much better results with better brushes. And also, you could make this look a little better if you go to a filter and you have the layer mask selected, filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. I think I'm looking at the wrong one again. This one. Filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. Yeah, so when you sharpen that, it looks a little better. Right, and I can quickly sharpen this one. If I click this, I don't have to go to the same unsharp mask thing again. I could just click here, my most recent filter. It'll repeat the same thing. And also do it to the others. Okay. And I think I'm gonna move all of this a little bit to the left. Maybe put this here. Somewhere where we can read it a little better. Maybe down here. I'm gonna put that there. I think I'll raise these a little bit. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully you learned something from that.